Hi, this is Cinema 9. Travis is over there. Eric is down there. And we are live, at least in our lifetime, for the Cinema 9 podcast. cinema9pod@gmail.com. And make sure you 5-star review. Subscribe to the YouTube. And today's focus will be Bulworth. That's right. I chose this movie from 1998, the year all three of us graduated from high school. Bulworth. I mean, you talk about a movie that defines our graduating year. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know anything about that, but that's what we'll focus on in a little bit. But first, we always like to say hello, see how everyone's doing. Travis, how are you doing? What's going on?
I'm doing well, doing quite well. I'm working again, but like part-time, and not all my students are back. So I was essentially told to just show them movies. So did some of the classics like Forrest Gump and that kind of stuff this week. It's been fun.
Bulworth.
Didn't watch that with the kids. Didn't cross my mind to watch that with my students.
Oh,
I do teach a government class. Could have made sense for government.
I thought it was
class.
a natural fit. Yeah, maybe not. Eric, you teach, but you're off right now. It's summertime. I do want to remind people. Eric doesn't do it, but we updated our YouTube page so you can see and click on Eric's profile to watch his latest short film. It's called Instant Life. That's all I'm going to say. Check it out. It's a real easy access point on the Cinema 9 YouTube.
I'm so happy to be here to talk about Warren Beatty's Bulworth. We've made a lot of jokes about this over the past few years, but it's time to get serious. Does this hold up?
Is it?
Oh, and if you want to listen to me and Eric talk more, he is on my most recent episode of 9394.
Who doesn't?
My podcast, music podcast. He's talking Weezer's Blue album, and I had a lot of fun doing that, Eric.
Turned out great.
I was happy with it.
If Eric is pleased, that's really saying something, because usually he's the ultimate critic of his own work.
This is true. He's a harsh man on himself, but not on others. He's very kind with
thorough.
others.
Harsh but thorough. For me, it's mid to late July. Our Canadian rental ends in like 2 weeks, so we got to find a new place to live. Trying to find that in America, and I saw an old friend of ours. I was hoping to see both of them, the Ferns. Derek, who's been a guest on the show before, Derek Fern. He did the I Heart Huckabees episode. If you've missed that, you can go back in time and see that anytime, or listen to it on your preferred podcast platform. But unfortunately, Derek couldn't make our dinner, so me and Leanne went out with Emily. And we did go to our friend Jamie's restaurant in Ypsilanti. So anybody who lives in the Michigan metro area, like Metro Detroit, if you ever get a chance, check out the Bellflower. It's a delicious restaurant in Ypsilanti. You might think, what? Not Ann Arbor? Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. But hey, I'm telling you, this place is delicious. This place is so popular that Mark Bernstein from the Bernsteins Family Law was in attendance Friday night. So.
Oh, wow. It's good enough for the Bernsteins.
Yeah, I know we all follow the trends of the Bernsteins, so it means a lot to especially confirm a restaurant being cool or not.
I feel extra privileged. I feel extra privileged that I got to see Derek and Emily last weekend.
You
blew it.
Sometimes things happen. I don't know. Yeah. I'll just leave it there.
But anyways, oppen. Yeah.
It was great to see Emily and Derek. I think Derek still consumes our show. Hi, Derek. Hope you're well.
We love you, Derek.
All right, let's talk a little bit quarantine viewing picks. Travis Roy, what's happening in your film world?
Let's see. I checked out some films. I love Willem Dafoe so much, and that movie Inside, that from 2023, where he plays an art thief locked in a room, that could go one way or another, and it kind of went the other. I was really quite bored throughout. It's just a dude in a room. As much as I love Willem Dafoe, it just didn't grab me. And another one, kind of a disappointment, I checked out. Actually, there's a lot of disappointments this week. I've mentioned the films of Noah Bushell, I think his name is pronounced, before. I love Glass Chin. I love The Sparrows Dance. But then I checked out The Phenom, which is based, Mike, you might know this dude, Rick Ankiel, a baseball player, right?
He was a pitcher who lost his way.
Yeah, so it's loosely based on him. Paul Giamatti plays like the guy the therapist trying to get him off the yips, and Ethan Hawke plays his dad. So it seemed like it's going to be great, especially based on the dude's previous work, and it was just kind of fell short. I was disappointed in that one.
Where is this at? Where can I watch The Phenom?
I think it's on the Roku channel.
Cool. I'm going to check it out for sure. I had not heard of this whatsoever, but I'm instantly interested.
I would recommend Glass Chin before, if I'm going to recommend any Noah Bushell movies, I'd recommend The Glass Chin, Billy Crudup, and whatnot. It's great.
Crudup?
He hates
Does
that.
he not
apparently.
want people to say crud up? Oh, he hates it? Okay.
Yeah, he hates
crud
it.
Up.
It's like, hi, I'm Travis Shit Roy. Like, no, it's pronounced Roy, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Christian came, our buddy, Christian came over last night and we watched a couple movies. Watched Doc Hollywood again. He was like, "Want to watch that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just watched it 2 months ago. I'll watch it again. I don't give a fuck." Because I love it. And then we watched
You would
Evil
do that.
Yeah, I would. And I'll probably do it again soon.
Yeah.
We watched Evil Dead Rise. Christian fucking hated it. Just despised it. I liked it enough to not turn it off.
Oh,
Which
man.
tells you about how it was. I was pretty underwhelmed by this movie, I gotta say. Yeah, can't recommend it. It got some good reviews, but I don't know what movie those people watched. Frankly,
What went wrong?
it was just. I found it really just. It was just dumb. It was just dumb. I'm sorry. I'm not a good reviewer, I guess, but there was just a lot of like groan-worthy shit where I'm just like, oh come on. Why did you make that choice? Okay. It had its moments, but I don't know. It wasn't great. Also,
By the way,
Christian.
to clarify, this is like a new chapter in the Evil Dead series.
Yeah, there was the Evil Dead reboot in 2012 or 13, which I thought was quite good. So I was ready for this. And, Christian apologized for shitting all over it. We watched it. Maybe it did benefit, or maybe it did influence me. Someone was in my ear being, what the fuck, the whole time. But it wasn't, I can't blame him. It's subpar. That's all I can say. So my big, speaking of Michael J. Fox, I watched Still, the documentary about his life, and holy shit, the production value on this thing. Again, when you're doing these documentaries about these public figures that we have so much footage of in all these different places, and then they take all that and they're combining it with really well done dramatizations and that kind of stuff. It is a really, really top-notch quality memoir of a documentary. It's a reason why I got nominated for an Emmy, I believe. Definitely check that one out. Still,
yeah. I want to see that too.
it's great.
Still want to see that. And okay. Eric, what's going on in your film world?
Devil's Peak. I saw Billy Bob Thornton and I hit play. Well, no, I hit rent immediately. I paid the $5 because I see Billy Bob Thornton and the film stars Hopper Penn, Sean Penn's kid. I'm like, I wonder if this kid can act. Like, Billy Bob Thornton plays like this like patriarchal meth dealer in the Appalachian Mountains. I'm like, okay, this guy can be very sinister when he wants to. Let's see what's going on here.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
It's
There's not much there. Hopper Penn, like God love him. Yeah, he just like makes faces the whole time. Not much of an actor. Can't recommend the film, but we'll see what else comes out of this performer. Megan. I like Megan.
I liked Megan too.
Amazon Prime. I turned it on like all cynical. I'm like, fuck this. Another Killer Doll movie. Fucking James Wan. Fucking Blumhouse. I liked it a lot.
Fun.
I liked it a lot. It basically was the Chucky reboot.
Yeah.
Repackaged.
Not as good.
But it was fun. It was just the right amount of like camp and horror. I think if it didn't have the camp that it did, I would have been like, it's fucking typical, like again with this shit. But yeah, cheeky and kind of fun. Other than that, there's been a lot of Gilmore Girls in the background around here. When you live with someone,
that enjoyable?
and they start a series. It's like 7 seasons long. You just kind of watch it too, even if you're trying not to. I don't know what this show is. Like every time I look at the screen, they're just yakking and yakking and yakking and yakking. I don't even know what the hell the plot of this story is, but yeah, I don't know.
Oh, Eric, I also watched a couple episodes of Sightings from back in the day. I meant to tell you, they're on YouTube.
Yeah, fun show, man.
Sightings.
That's about it. I'm still trying to stain this deck, and that's very time consuming. So there you go.
Look at you. That's impressive. You really are quite the husband, the domesticated husband. I'm proud of you. Hi, Fawn. How you doing? Hi.
You Fawn again?
Yeah. I had done something I didn't know I would enjoy it, but I really enjoy it. And I gotta tell you, I definitely don't think Travis is going to like this. I don't think Eric will like it. In fact, both of you probably won't like this. But I see this as maybe kind of the way of the future as well. and I'm not really thrilled about this either. People on YouTube, they take a show. So I watched, it's The Sopranos, okay? And they take every season of The Sopranos, and it's just nonstop. It's a playlist of Sopranos by season. Someone started season 1, went through every season, and they make like 2.5 maximum. No clip is longer than 4 minutes, okay? But it's just endless clips from each episode in order all the way through. So you basically get like the highlights of a season by watching like 85 quick videos of a season. And I did it. They just kept on going. I was like, oh yeah, that part and all that. Okay. All the bullshit. The Sopranos is an incredible show. It's not filled with much bullshit, but I really enjoyed it. So I watched this guy's YouTube channel, season 1, season 2. Each playlist had like 85 different videos of 2.5 to 4 minutes long. And I dug it. And I'm kind of concerned that this will become more popular as time goes on. I'm not proud of it, but.
That's funny, man. I actually just an hour ago, 2 hours ago, restarted episode 1 of The Sopranos. I'm going to re-binge, and I'm going to do it the proper way because I'm a fucking purist, you monster.
Damn. I know. Hey, I told you wouldn't like it.
I don't like it. I
don't know how I feel about it either, but
Mike, we can handle you fast forwarding through our Spotlight podcast movies, but The Sopranos?
Oof. Sacrilege.
I love Sopranos. I did a rewatch recently, so I'm good on a full rewatch, but I'm just saying, I know some of you guys out there, you probably know what I'm talking about. You may or not be aware of this. I'm just letting you know that it does exist, and it could become more popular.
This reminds me, Mike, of like there's these people out there that will like play podcasts at like 1.5 to. Who does this?
Oh yeah, Leanne's like that, man. I can't stand it, but she doesn't have enough time in the day apparently.
I don't. What?
Baffling to me.
Strange.
As someone who thought I appreciate artists and broadcasters who have quality voices, and there's little idiosyncrasies between all of the people who create content and put it out through a microphone. I want to get it as it is. There, I'm a purist for sure, 100%, Eric.
No one's watched The Rock Hudson. I'm doing that after the show.
Oh shit! I just don't.
I gotta see this.
I keep
doc.
forgetting.
It's on my list.
Too.
I can only watch so many docs a week. I don't know. I mean, I love them.
Doc limit?
Well, I got a doc quota, you know?
Doc Hollywood, but no docs?
Exactly. I watched one documentary, one Doc Hollywood.
Shit.
I guess Mike's done. Oh, there he is.
That's it for me. Had to plug in my adapter. All right. Oh. So, yeah, I did that. I also watched a bunch of movies, but a lot of them are possible picks for the show, so I can't get into the details because those of you that know, if you don't know, if you're new to Cinema 9, again, we love newcomers. Cinema9pod@gmail.com. Subscribe to YouTube. Check us out on your preferred podcast platform. I tell you, we don't like to talk about movies we watch that we might bring to the show later because it kind of ruins it. So,
yeah,
that's just something we do.
The traffic incident. I've had been supporting that policy.
I definitely watched one.
Like it was a car accident.
I watched one this week.
Traffic accident.
Like, yeah, the traffic incident.
It changed my life forever. I haven't been the same.
Yeah, I watched one this week that I'm probably gonna bring on. So I didn't mention it. It happens every week, probably with all of us.
I knew I wasn't alone. That's good to know. Yeah, I guess that's it. I'll leave it there. No, I can't talk about them. I can't talk about any of these. Fuck. Okay. Oh, I can talk about this one. There's one more I did watch. This is called. Did I mention this last week? I think I did actually. I'm gonna take it back.
All right.
The Lookout. Did I mention The Lookout last week?
You did not, but it's a good movie.
You know the movie?
Yeah. It's Jeff Daniels and I'm blanking on his name.
JGL?
Third Rock of the Sun. Yes, of course. Joseph Gordon-Levitt came to me. Or you prompted me. Yeah, good movie.
And the guy from The Watchmen, Matthew Good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He was great in it. It's a good movie. Strongly recommend it. Lookout. Never heard of it. I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Most of his films, Brick, Manic, all the other stuff he did before he became really popular. And this is definitely another one to add to the list. So check out The Lookout if you haven't seen it. Definitely
it came out around Brick. I remember it was like 2012 or something like that. It was kind of before he started making a bunch of good stuff. It was kind of like
it was
before
pre-Inception.
It was like I think it was the first movie I saw that I was like, oh shit, dude can act.
Yeah. If I would have seen it that way originally, I agree. But for me, that was probably Brick. But Lookout came out in 2007. So check out The Lookout if you get a chance to. All right, there you go. That's fun. Cinema Podcast. We're here for you. And today's episode does focus, just like we do every week. We have a movie that we get into the nuts and bolts, the nitty gritty of it all. Detailed analysis of my selection, Bulworth, 1998 film. Basically completely created in all aspects by Warren Beatty, as he often does with his films, where he directs it and he produces it and he writes it and he obsesses over it for way too long. And I mean, does this guy have a serious ego problem, or is he just really particular? I'm not sure what it is. Maybe
a bit of both.
You're right, I guess.
An auteur and an egoist. I mean, he wouldn't be the first.
No, he certainly wouldn't be the first. But this movie, I brought it to the table because I thought, okay, is there anything of note here besides what I remember, and frankly, most people probably remember, is that Warren Beatty's rapping. Yeah. He's like 60 years old, and all rapping. That stuff. So, and yes. A lot of rapping.
Yep.
But do you remember seeing this movie for the first time, Travis? I don't know if it sticks with you or not.
I mean, yeah, that fucking stupid ass cover with him crawling out of his own mouth.
His rapper avatar.
Yeah, I worked at Blockbuster. Yeah. Eric and I worked at Blockbuster when this came out. So, we got 5 free rentals a week and we could push that. So, I watched everything. I watched everything in 98. And so I of course watched this and was bemused and never saw it again until the night before last.
What about you, Eric? Any memories?
Oh, dude, this poster, this cover box. I had to shelve this thing every day. I had to just put it back on the shelf while staring right like 2 inches away from this morbid fucking big mouth face that's, again, it's just birthing this fucking weirdo rap Beatty. I couldn't do it. Like, for the longest time, I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I can't do it. This cover box is too stupid. And I rented it, and I don't really remember the experience. It was just so bizarre, and there's so much lunacy around this whole product that I don't really even remember seeing it, but I do remember making fun of it. And I remember the soundtrack. I remember all the music associated with it, but I don't really remember sitting down and actually watching it. I just remember forming an opinion that's lasted these past 25 years about it. That's about it.
Yep. I cannot actually recall the specific viewing, but it certainly was around the time it came out on VHS, and it was put on, and it was just so absurd. There was a lot of commentary like, this is so dumb. I'm sure I said that. This is so stupid many times, probably. Actually, I think about that too. I did want to mention this because I think it's important. Nobody else will care, but yesterday was the anniversary of our friend Ryan Liberty. He died 20 years ago yesterday, and just want to shout out that Ryan, if Ryan was alive today, he would probably be on this podcast for sure. He'd probably be doing his own podcast. He was a very entertaining guy, and he was always very supportive of me doing, I went to a vocational school for broadcasting after our first friend sadly died, Brandon, and he was always very supportive of that. So I always feel like he would have been a great entertainer himself, because he had a big personality, and
very funny.
Just wanted to mention that. 20 years, man. I miss you, Ryan. We all miss you, of course. Can't hear us because he's not here, but just wanted to bring that up because I was thinking about watching movies and where I might have been when I watched this film. Miss you, buddy. What's the score on this film? Bulworth. Every week we pick the IMDb rating. What is it on Bulworth? Is it just shit? Is it like a 2.7?
I'm still adjusting to the Memorial / Bulworth crossover here. It's a rocky road to ride. Love you, Ryan.
No way to transition. What else am I supposed to do?
No, I'm gonna guess 6.2.
Oh,
yeah, I'm right in that area, my friend. 6.5.
I'm gonna say this is a 5.7.
That can make it one of our lowest.
I think, yeah, that probably would. And the actual answer on Bulworth is, wow.
Did it reach 7?
6.8.
6.8. Okay. All right.
I will say, very, very low turnout on this, though. Only 27,000 ratings. That's pretty low.
Doesn't surprise me. It doesn't seem like one that people talk about other than us, and we are making fun of it, and very much on a surface level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never heard someone bring this movie up. You're right. I can't think of a conversation.
No.
Recent time. Where, hey, Bulworth, what's the deal on that?
You guys scoped out Bulworth lately? You feeling Bulworthy?
Bullworthy. Rotten Tomatoes, 76% from the critics. That's not bad. They seem to generally like it. The audience is. We have a direct tie with IMDb, 68%. So,
you guys, this is an Academy Award nominated film. In 1998, in 1998, one of the best years for cinema in American history, this was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay.
That's absolutely right, Travis.
That's a reality.
Shakespeare in Love, I believe.
Yeah, a lot of mistakes were made that year.
That's total bullshit, though. That's total Warren Beatty's power getting that done. That's how I see that. Because he's such a Hollywood guy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you look at the Oscars that year, 1999. It came out in 98, 1999 Oscars. Yeah, wow. That's the other ones. Can anyone get? I mean, it's tough to remember every film. But it was a great year for film.
Saving Private Ryan was 98, right?
You have to imagine Paul Schrader's Affliction, which is easily the best screenplay of that year.
The Thin Red Line was popular that year.
God. That's a big year for movies.
Yeah, you're right. And of course, the one year that Roberto Benigni took over the Academy Awards with his Life is Beautiful. It's a great movie.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's wild. The screenplay, it's just so funny to see that. Yeah, the screenplay based on. Oh, this was the adapted one?
No, this is Best Original Screenplay.
Best screenplay written directly for the screen. Shakespeare in Love, Bulworth, Life is Beautiful, Saving Private Ryan, and The Truman Show, too. That's incredible.
Wow.
One of these things is not like the others.
I don't know. We'll see.
Oh,
Eric.
How about those critical reviews? Let's see.
I knew you were going to love this fucking movie.
We don't have a ton of critical reviews here. It's a pretty light load. I'm surprised because I got a 76, but it's also 25 years old.
Yeah. And not talked about it, like we said. So
you're right. Just like completely removed from pop culture. Kenneth Turin of the LA Times in 2001 said the following. What gives Bulworth its unique character is that all this silliness is periodically punctuated by cogent, carefully thought out mini manifestos.
All right. Yeah. I agree with that statement.
Sure. I don't disagree with it. Yeah.
There are cogent mini manifestos peppered throughout.
Yep.
Agreed.
There's a lot of pictures of murdered black leaders from the past and a lot of talking about not just Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, but Huey Newton and all that stuff. So, Roger Ebert, once upon a time, said,
Ebes.
Bulworth plays like a cry of frustrated comic rage. It's about an archetypal? How do I say that word, right?
I think archetypal, but
archetypal character.
Archetypical?
Archetypal.
Anyways, we don't know. Continue.
I know. Okay,
we know what the word means, at least. We can give ourselves that credit.
That's right, yes. Character who increasingly seems to stand for our national mood. The guy who's fed up and isn't going to take it anymore. He liked it. Roger, 3 out of 4 stars. 3.5 out of 4 stars.
Critics loved it.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising. One more. We're going to try Barbara Schulgasser from the San Francisco Examiner. Beatty and co-writer Jeremy Pixar take witty criticisms of social failure to a Shavian level of simultaneous erudition and absurdity. That's very well, a lot of words in that one.
Yeah, verbose.
So, watching this movie, I got to tell you, so the rap and, Bulworth eventually becomes a rapping politician who's fed up with it. He wants to kill himself. He's depressed. He's put out this hit on himself. By the way, I thought it'd be cooler if they didn't actually reveal that it was a picture of him. And when they brings like the liaison to the hitman in the beginning. That's just a side note.
No, you're right. They could have maybe not through the whole movie, but like for the first act, let you believe that he's hired someone else to murder someone else, and then you realize later that it's him. That would have been more effective. I agree.
Also, Ennio Morricone, you catch that?
Do you hear Morricone? I saw his name in the fucking credits. I don't remember hearing Morricone at all.
The only thing is a doo doo doo. Whenever like things are creepy or there's someone afoot who might be doing something dastardly.
You're right.
That's it.
So
apparently they cut out a ton of it. Like he was pissed.
Yeah. He was pissed. He composed like an hour's worth of music, and they tossed it all out except for like 30 seconds.
Oh my God, that's true. You got Ennio Morricone and you just fucking shit the bed. Good God.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that he made the effort to do that, but then ended up just putting a bunch of pop. This is what Beatty does. Like, Beatty is infamous for like tinkering and obsessing, and he's like, I don't know if we can put this out yet. This is really a common thing for those that don't know Warren Beatty's style. He takes decades sometimes to put a project together. He blew it on the Howard Hughes thing, and that ended up being a piece of shit by the time he put it out in 2016, as we mentioned recently on the show. But
well, if you over tweak, you're going to make it overwrought typically. You know.
I mean, this movie's filled though with there's so many people in this movie. I mean, so when you guys texted, hey, Oliver Platt. Okay, cool. I know Travis loves Oliver Platt, so that was hopeful.
Yeah, that was Eric that texted that, but yep, I definitely love the Platt. We got a young Isaiah Whitlock Jr. in there. We got Laurie Metcalf hanging out. We got Sean Astin with very little dialogue. Just like, what are you doing here? He's got like one line. Sean Astin, the extra. What the fuck is happening?
Hey, you want to play a cameraman? Is that like the easiest thing to do? Is play a cameraman who says almost nothing?
I think he literally had one line. I kept on waiting for him to speak. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, he's about to go into like this like tangential speech about his beliefs, and like they literally just cut him off and show some stupid other scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is Beatty at the. I mean, yeah, we had Ishtar, but like, this guy is like, he was pretty much like at the top of his game. He was getting like, he had like carte blanche in Hollywood. Like, he could have done anything. Like, he had so much success, even in the 90s when he was in his 50s with Bugsy, Love Story, and Dick Tracy.
That was 01, but yeah.
But like, yeah, this was like, it's so funny when you
Bugsy.
you read into
Bugsy, underrated.
Bugsy.
Yeah, Bugsy's good.
Like, the studio didn't really know what the fuck this was. Like, not only because he was taking so long with the script, but he was deliberately withholding very pertinent information about what the story was about. He's like, oh yeah, it's a comedy about a guy who takes, not even a politician, but a guy who takes a hit out on himself and then falls in love and wants to cancel the hit.
Yep. Wow.
The skeleton of the story. I'm gonna leave out the meat here, which is me being 60 years old and rapping about politics.
Yep.
Poorly.
Well, okay, so this is the crux of this issue with this film for me, guys, is this movie is actually chock full of like awesome tidbits that I completely agree with that is completely wrong. This was 25 years ago. People talk about like, everything's falling apart today. All of these things were happening 25 years ago already, and it wasn't wrong. And the influence of money, and obviously things will get worse down the road with Citizens United and actions like that. Paul Sorvino playing the Southern insurance man who gets betrayed. This movie has so many outstanding tidbits, but the process and the method with the execution of trying to get the message out is like he's okay. A guy loses it. Like, it's a fantasy. Clearly, a politician decides to say, you know what, I'm just like done. I'm having a meltdown here, and I'm just going to say what's on my mind. Like when he's in the church scene in the early part, the things he says there they're just spot on. Yeah, we all showed up when the LA, the whole meltdown happened in 92 with LA riots and all that stuff, right? And then we left. We just forgot about you. That's exactly what happens and what still happened then. So I agree with that. But then like that he turns into this goofball rapping guy, I feel like it loses some of the power of the message.
That's exactly the point I made. And it's not even necessarily him, although he does say some things I really agree with. Socialized medicine will save us all. Let's fuck race out of existence. I'm into that. He said a bunch of things I agree with, but it's not even just him. But some of the most some of the most powerful moments of the movie. I thought the best scene in the movie in terms of like the message, it was him and Halle Berry in the car when she's talking about, he's asking her if she knows who Huey Newton is, and she fucking grew up being fed by the Black Panthers breakfast program, and that whole breakdown, which she brings back in later. But even that, like, you get these gems and they're just like spurted out really quickly in like this dense fucking dialogue in a 1-minute scene. You know what I mean? And then you're back to like him rhyming clock with talk, and just back with whack. It's just like it's like, oh man, it distracts from a message that I otherwise strongly agree with throughout.
Oh man, like really hard to come. Like, I don't know where to come at this with like my battleship at all. Like, do I just hit the rap head on? Yeah, his raps are stupid. It's like fucking Dr. Seuss. Like, and it's like, it's cringeworthy, but like,
it's a point. Right?
It's supposed to be. I mean, it's doing exactly what the story mandates it to be. A man that's out of his mind, having a nervous breakdown that is influenced by what he's seeing in this, alien culture, and then he attempts it, and it makes him happy. So, saying that the raps are stupid, yeah, but it's kind of it's farce. It's like the producers. It's like old school Mel Brooks, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. This is one of those instances. I've only done it a couple of times before. I think I did it with SLC Punk. That it's going to be important for me to announce early on how I feel about the movie. I love this movie. I loved it. I was laughing the entire time. I love it.
Wow.
So I'm here to defend any points you guys have negatively about this picture.
I knew.
I love doing this show. You never know what someone's going to say. I'm blown away. Wow. Okay.
When it first starts, like, it's just Warren Beatty. He's so weird because I'm writing my notes and I'm like, Warren Beatty, what is this quality? And like I write down like deadpan aloofness, and like he does that perfectly in my opinion, and then he goes with it, and like every time like he's in these scenarios, he's got this like befuddled look on his face. I'm laughing. Like it's a farce. It's like an idiotic character, but like my problem is like I'm watching it and I'm thinking about a movie I watched a couple weeks ago, Office Space. Okay, in that movie, like Peter Gibbons goes through like this experience where he doesn't give a fuck about anything anymore, and now his life is a lot better and he's happy. But it's not because of anything like he experienced or changed. He's hypnotized. Okay, it's the same thing here. Bulworth is he's nuts. He's crazy.
Yeah, so Boomer Breakdown, the movie.
Exactly. Like nothing influences him that turns a switch. He's just crazy. It's bizarre.
3 days no sleep. He hasn't eaten. Yeah, they make a real big point in the early part of like establishing these facts to why he's so depressed now, other than the fact that he's had enough. But maybe it was just because he didn't sleep for 3 days.
Well, no, it's because he traded in on his values. I mean, he's like a liberal fucking leftist, supposedly Democrat. The movie starts with him with all these neoconservative talking points, and so he's disgusted with himself because
we stand on the doorstep of a new millennium.
Did you know that we stand on the doorstep of a new millennium? Yeah, so he hates himself and who he's become, and
they show him as like this idealist with all these famous figures throughout history,
right?
Well. Right. Beatty also, which should be, to give a little bit more context, Beatty did a movie called Reds in 1981, which is heavily about communism and socialism. It's based on a true story as well. So I kind of get the sense here that he pretty much, this is who Beatty actually is. He wouldn't do more than one movie about this type of aspect of trying to spread the agenda here or spread the message if he didn't really believe in it. I really do sincerely believe that.
But that, I think, is part of the problem and gets to what your critique was earlier that I agreed with. And I think that like he's the kind of Hollywood leftist that like people that don't agree with him see something like this and like, what a fucking joke. Like they don't, I mean, they don't. There's a scene in the movie where Don Cheadle is, more or less holding him almost captive, and he raps his way out the door, and everyone's so befuddled that he just is able to get away with it. So I think that really reinforces your point, Eric, that like this is what we're supposed to be slack-jawed and like what the fuck is going on. But you have to approach this movie on different levels at the same time, and it takes some nuance that a lot of people are not going to, and we ourselves did not take the time to make.
Listen, scumbag, it's so goofy, yes. Ridiculous. But it is funny. I did laugh at times. I do admit it, but there were other parts where I'm like, oh, geez. Like, I will say that, like, he didn't push this farther in the aspect where he truly tried to emulate or mimic being a black man, because it could have gotten even worse. So I maybe he recognized that. Maybe he actually did that, and then he cut those scenes out. I don't know. But I do know that there's a weird disconnect here where the character is trying to get immersed in the black community, and like those two girls like love him right away. The one that volunteers valets afterward, like, oh, we love what you're doing here. But I also feel like a lot of these characters would be like, dude, this guy is whack. Like they would have said that. Like, fuck this guy. But if it's a fantasy and a farce, like you said, so maybe I just need to accept that and move on from that point.
I'm going to use a term that is a little dated, but I mean, it has literal meaning, or like, you know, in terms of literary meaning and that kind of stuff, which is magical Negro. This is like, there's a lot of that going on in this film. Now, I love the fact that when those two girls joined the choir, they improved the choir drastically and that kind of stuff. But throughout the movie, you have this guy who is meeting multiple black people who are just showing him like, hey, this is the way. And I agree with a lot of it, but it's like, you're right, Mike. Most of these people would not want to sit down and fucking hang out with him. And Halle Berry's only interested in doing it because she's a fucking assassin. But you're right. Like, all these other people are very strongly interested in hanging out with him. He hardly interacts with anyone who is not like a drug dealer or like smoking marijuana or drinking beer. You know what I mean? Like, there's very few black people that he interacts with that are not somewhat stereotypical in a lot of ways. I mean, I think there's some good intentions here, but some of it is it's a little awkward.
To say the least. Beatty's a lifelong Democrat. And what I like, a known big Hollywood Democrat. Right. And what I love about this film is, like, he spends a lot of it, like, shit-talking Democrats. Like, or at least exposing them for the same types of parasites that exist in any other bipartisan politics. And like, for him to do that back then, like right after the Clinton scandal, and name all of these political figures like Buchanan and Dole and Clinton in this film, and basically chastise the party for being, a bunch of fucking hypocrites, is pretty cool. But yeah, at the same time, Travis, you're right. In the church, like, he insults these people right to their face, pisses on them, and then like, as a writer, he's just going to be like, okay, then they're going to like him. Kind of an easy out, but again, it's just a way for him to be able to tell this story to get us thinking. I'm not looking at characters that are acting rationally. I mean, these two become valets at a Beverly Hills mansion, and they're from like South Central LA. They're not going to get that volunteer job. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. He also, Travis, as far as the stereotypes you just laid out, he seems to be universally stereotyped. I mean, the whole scene with the Jews and that dinner, I mean, he just stereotyped a lot in that scene.
No,
I mean, he's ripping on Hollywood too. No, I'm not saying you're not doing that. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not saying that he is being stereotypical towards people. I'm saying the characters he's interacting with are stereotypes. All those kids that are drug dealers and all that kind of shit. Like, a lot of the people themselves are pretty stereotypical, the characters themselves.
Okay, so you're right. Thank you. I want to clarify that. Yeah, it's not all Jews who work in Hollywood. So that, again, was like he's doing that. Like, yeah, we're going to the big Hollywood dinner with all the Jews.
All the big Jews, he says.
Yeah, right, the big Jews. And he rips on his own industry, too. I mean, we make shit.
Yeah.
And that's, I give him credit for that. I know he has, I don't give him tons of credit, though, because he's one of the few people who knows the power he has, or is at least the credibility or the cachet, if you will, that he has gained over the years, so he can do something like this. I think almost nobody else could do this outside of what we saw with Robert Altman in The Player, which was also a similar teardown of Hollywood. He had that position to do so, and not everybody else has that. So,
that's a good point.
I think aside from Wag the Dog the previous year, like, we had seen in the 90s just some like really fluffy, asinine political, even comedies, let alone satires. The fucking American President and
Love it.
My Fellow Americans and Guardian Tests. Like,
love it.
This is like
Dave. Love it.
I love Dave.
I love all these.
They're
movies.
fun, but they're also like extremely accessible. That's why I dig this movie for just being so fucking brazen.
Well, this was the same year as Primary Colors, and apparently, you guys read about this, how there was Beatty wanted Elia Kazan to write this, and then there was a split. Kazan went with Primary Colors, and then so Beatty, like, this was a battle. It's not officially like Dante's Peak versus Volcano or whatever, or Armageddon.
It was. I do have to correct you. That was Elaine May.
Oh shit! Yeah, my bad. Thank you for the correction. We need that. I did that off the top of my head. Okay, so there's a lot of what else, guys? Go ahead, give me something.
Let's talk about Halle Berry a little bit. This certainly helped improve her stardom. I mean, she was well known at this point, but she was she's still playing the sexy woman a lot, you know, like the Flintstones and that kind of stuff. And she's, Baps, exactly. She's showing, you know, her stomach a lot in this kind of stuff, but she's finally given a lot to say and a viewpoint, which, you know, she done some good work. And I think losing Isaiah for also, but I mean, you know what I mean? I think this was a bit of
Jungle Fever.
Hey, that's her first movie and it's a good one. But I think this helped her probably and make people like take her a little bit more seriously. I feel like maybe, and she's
take her more seriously. She could do Swordfish,
and she could play Storm. Well, that was nice.
That's true.
Yeah. So, she does a lot of looking around and oogling, but she's also given that fantastic monologue that really encapsulates the entire crisis of the black middle class in 30 seconds of dialogue.
Yeah, it is. That is pretty much the highlight of the whole movie right there, is that scene. I feel like.
Well, there's also Don Cheadle in this movie, one of your other favorites, Travis.
One of the best
you got some guys
scenes
you
in
could
the
really
movie.
be drawn to.
Yeah. He's got easily one of my favorite scenes when you have these like cartoon characters straight out of like Bratz, those little dolls you get out of the machine at the grocery store. But you have Don Cheadle referring to him as his soldiers, and Warren Beatty's like, "What the fuck are you talking about? No, these are children." And Don Cheadle's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? These are entry-level drug dealers, because that's the only business that they have the opportunity to become somebody in, because they're not making money at Burger King," I think he says. And he's convincing in it. Granted, it's dumbed down immediately by Dr. Seuss rap right after that, but it's a cool moment that says something about youth culture in that area and our perceptions of these kids that are walking around with guns. Well, what the fuck else are they supposed to do?
Yeah, but as Travis points earlier, there are plenty of... Yes, I know there are. Clearly, we have racial challenges for African Americans that were pushed down by slavery and had to try to make up ground for hundreds of years here. But there's a lot of other ways they could have done other things. It's not like... I thought that having like kid soldiers was a way to like really push an extreme message. I thought that I didn't love that scene as much as you enjoyed it, Eric. You make good points, but I don't see it the same, I guess.
We got Lips Manless himself, Paul Sorvino. How about that accent? Convinced?
Yeah.
Oh, also,
totally.
By the way, Don Cheadle, same year he did Out of Sight, and this is almost like the exact same character. I feel bad for Don Cheadle that he had to redo that again just to get credibility and move up in Hollywood, which I believe probably did.
Yeah. How about the raving homeless man who tells him, he's like, speaking of mystical or magical, right? Like this guy just shows up in these numerous scenes and tells him to sing and to be a spirit, not a ghost. And he even gets to end the movie by talking to the audience directly and telling us to be a spirit, not a ghost, which means fuck all to me.
Yeah, I don't think that whole part of it at all. Like, that's the inspiration for him to rap. That's the only thing I see out of that. And even then, I'm like, okay, whatever. Who cares?
Bizarre freeze frame on Cedar Sinai and a slow pullback and it's all still frozen. Then it starts moving all of a sudden. I'm like, what? Who edited this? Was Warren asleep? And what happened?
It was rough because I love that. I mean, Vittorio Storaro shoots it. And this is one of the great cinematographers of all time. Conformist' most beautiful picture I've ever seen in my life. Apocalypse Now. But I do love that scene where it cuts up to where Sorvino was and it's all black and they're all pointing at the area.
Yeah.
Very Lorraine Motel. But right after that, I'm like, go to credits. But they go to that dumb scene where it's fucking like straight Scatman Crothers kick the can.
Oh, yeah.
Bullshit. And it's like, oh, fuck.
Because they didn't have the balls to actually have him die at the end.
Don't forget Dick Stensland's in this, creeping around a lot from LA Confidential. Scumbag detective in that movie, but this one he's the guy we think he's the killer who's been assigned, but actually he's the one who takes photos. Dick Stensland having some fun.
Yeah.
That's a misdirect of this movie. Ooh, wow, really threw me for a loop.
Who was Platt's assistant? Was that a Raimi?
That guy.
He looks like a Raimi.
That guy.
That guy. I think he gave me the only big laugh I got in this movie, which is like towards the end when they walk up to Warren Beatty's character finally wakes up because no one thought, hey, let's wake this motherfucker up. The whole world's falling apart. But finally he wakes up and someone goes up to him, to Warren Beatty, and says like, oh, the man of the hour, how you doing? And the other guy goes, oh, I'm feeling fine, thanks. I got a big kick out of that. I thought that was pretty funny. It's like the only line he had in the movie practically. And when he's like trying to chase
that bump of coke either.
Trying to chase the bump of coke. That also made me laugh.
Yeah, I only remember him from that show Sports Night Once Upon a Time.
Yes,
that's it. Otherwise, I don't know where else he's from.
Well, he's like the aide on like the West Wing. And speaking of which, Aaron Sorkin, your buddy, he did a polish on this draft, Michael.
You could tell which. Oh yeah, you could totally tell which pieces of dialogue were his too. The ones that were those dense fucking paragraphs of policy.
Absolutely.
Policy. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I could see that being the case. But by the time it gets to the point where he's on TV for that interview and he's just taking it even further, everything he's saying, everything Bulworth is saying in that sit-down interview is so true. It's like, I'm like, yeah, I agree with everything this guy's saying right here. This is a great message. And that how, the real politicians are on standby, like you said, Eric. They're waiting to go live to a debate or something else with real, actual United States politicians at the time. That takes guts. I get that. And then at the same time, you're kind of wondering, well, how is this going to go now? For me, I was like, where's this movie going to end now? Because I actually really couldn't remember anything about it other than the stupid raps. Same. So I had no recall of how it would kind of finish up. But by that point, there's actually a cohesion. And, Don Cheadle's character has this, he actually gets convinced. I don't know if it's by the rap or what, but he actually gets convinced to change his ways because he sees a movement brewing. And I got to tell you guys, for a split second, I'm like, oh man, this would be so awesome. Like all of these forces coming together that actually meaningful change could take place. And then I started to get the hint like, oh, someone's going to die here and this is all going to get shut down. But I actually did get I kind of got hopeful. I was like, oh man, this would be great if this could actually happen.
I was pretty much watching it and being like, well, someone would totally try and kill this motherfucker. Oh. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess I am a little confused. Doesn't Don Cheadle go to kill Bulworth at the studio? That third act was very rushed, but doesn't he? Because he goes, let's get on the news, which is kind of a cool line. But
True.
Doesn't he go there to assassinate him?
I don't know.
It's confusing. You got this, I don't care about this debt with the brother of, Halle Berry's characters, Isaiah Washington. It's okay, whatever's going on there. And yeah, it does get kind of confusing there. The only thing that was realistic was that he would absolutely pass out and sleep forever. That would happen. There's no way you could just go that long without sleep. You would crash. And he crashed.
I did like the Don Cheadle's character had the fake casts. He's like, you can either wear these or we can break your legs and you can wear these. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I also have Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, it's disconnected. I was going to move on to something else.
Well, in that house too there are a lot of black characters that are, they're just regular people. They're not just drug dealers. You mentioning the point earlier about a lot of drug dealers and that family in there. They're talking about how it's difficult to go out on their street every day and they're just trying to live their lives. So that was the one area of the film where I saw characters like, okay, well, at least we're getting some representation of just like regular people trying to get by every day. But that was it.
And it makes sense for an assassin to bring her target to meet her family.
Absolutely. That makes all the sense of the world. It's the first thing you do in the playbook.
Perfectly normal thing.
Speaking of representation, especially in Southern California, are there any Latin Americans in this movie?
Not a one, dude. I don't think there's a fucking one.
Nope. I don't know. It wasn't noticeable. I'll say that.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Not that they have to bring some in, but even in Bulworth's talking points, it's black, white, black, white. Nobody else is mentioned.
And that's a liberal failing, to have this binary white and black as if there isn't tons of other people of color that have also been, oppressed and neglected politically.
Bit of a problem.
25 years ago, I'm not surprised, but if you're right, I'm not disagreeing with you. It's just that was the norm back then. Oh, what was the point you were going to bring up, Travis?
Senator Bogart. Remember when he takes that dude's joint, just never gives it back to him at the party?
It's Clint Eastwood. No, it's George Hamilton.
He just straight up takes that dude's joint, just walks away. I'm like, what a fucking asshole.
Yeah, that guy's jacked too. I would not take that guy's joint at all.
No.
And then he's scratching the records with dick and pussy. Dick, pussy, pussy, dick.
Yeah, all the lyrics are all just about pussy and fucking and all this shit. I was like,
This is so
You
dumb.
guys weren't Mike, you weren't laughing at that stuff?
Oh, I actually got a little bit of a laugh at the dick ending. It started, I'm like, oh, God. Warren Beatty could not, he doesn't know how to scratch. Senator Bulworth doesn't know how to scratch records. He couldn't get that right. That was annoying me the most. You're right. But I did get a little chuckle on the last dick, I think.
I mean,
This dick. That is funny. Yeah, that is funny.
That's all right.
I love movies where like someone like completely is just unearthed and put into another culture and like they get into it. I was reminded of Lost in Translation. Like I love Lost in Translation when this guy you totally don't expect, this rich, famous white guy goes into this Japanese culture and just kind of like finds himself and chills in this, surrounded by these very young people and
One to
just kinda
17-year-old
gets into it naturally. There's nothing, I don't know. But here, like it's I kind of lost my train of thought. So like there's an opportunity for him to kind of naturally adapt to this, even this rap culture without going this far. Because he does kind of he turns into this absurd, ludicrous cartoon, whereas he could have just picked up on the tendencies, especially like poetically and rhythmically with this inspiration, and like just come out as like this still a sane person that just has like seen the other side of the fence and benefited from it. Was it a mistake to just go completely overboard and have him be this buffoon, which he is like throughout the majority of the film? He's a buffoon. It's a choice, but I think that you could have made two scripts, one as a farce and then one as a more, not necessarily as appropriated as he is, but with an influence there that would have made an impact. Whereas I'm not sure Bulworth makes a huge impact even after like these few days and throughout these speeches. People would just be like, this guy's fucking crazy. What happened to Senator Bulworth?
Yeah. Also, when he does the rap with the insurance people about the oil men and all that stuff and the environment, a lot of these people are very powerful because they're strong egoists who got to that position because they kind of bended the will of others. So I was like, wouldn't we get more of a response if he just starts walking around the dinner or the luncheon, rapping away, saying all these very harsh things? I feel like there would be a much more angry response as opposed to sad face Sorvino's like, well, you did this to me. It's like such a weird response, like, ooh, you betrayed me. I gave you $10 million in life insurance. But he's like got like a sad quiver lip.
Think how shitty the fucking Walkman would sound through the microphone.
Yeah, I know. I thought of that too. Like, no way they get kind of bass like that. That's bullshit.
Terrible.
But it doesn't matter.
It's a movie. It's fine.
It's a fantasy bozo farce fest. You're right. So you have to decide, I think, to like make a decision of what you're watching and realize that is the intention here, is for this to be so off the rails that it would never happen. But we all wish maybe it could happen a little bit because it's getting bad. And then 25 more years later, now added on to where we are today, it's that much worse. It really is. And maybe people don't want to relive that. And they're like, try to escape. They don't want to watch this episode or hear this episode because it's about, in a way, our political nightmare that we currently live in, and was really already getting that bad 25 years ago. I could understand that too.
Okay.
Like, enjoyable watch? Yeah, I don't know.
I've said my piece. You guys have things you want to wrap up?
I like how it's shot almost predominantly. I like the decision to shoot it with the Steadicam for like 90% of it, because it does give you this uneasy, queasy feeling to everything, because he's imbalanced, something's off, and it's erratic. And it's only after his, like, when the movie first starts out, the camera's locked down because he's trying to figure out where to go from here. And after he puts in that policy, Storario switches over to the Steadicam for everything else, and it's just this imbalanced feeling throughout the entire movie that I really like. So yeah, I love the way it's shot. I love the richness of the darks and the colors and stuff. So no problems there.
You watch it on Max?
Yeah.
I thought it looked a little grainy. I didn't really notice.
Did you?
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a '90s film that hasn't seen the 4K treatment.
Yeah, there's so many people in this movie. Like, you can't name them all. You know, they're all just popping in and out. It's like, oh, hey, Jack Warden. We didn't even mention him. This is like towards the end of Jack Warden's career. Yeah, plays like a super nice guy though. Like, usually he's a pretty tough dude in movies, but he's just nice old Davers.
Yeah, underutilized, but there.
Christine.
He's got to be on Beatty's side. Joe, that's what he does. That's what they do.
What's her name? Laurie Metcalf. Like, reaction shots only, and she was huge.
Her and Wendell Pierce just hanging out in a C-SPAN truck the whole movie. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It was Wendell Pierce. I said Isaiah Whitlock Jr. It was Wendell Pierce. You're right. I got my Wired dudes mixed up.
Yeah, well, there's so many people in this movie. It's forgiven. Seriously, you can't keep track of it all. That's what Beatty does. He brings everybody aboard. And there's so many other little random moments from people that you recognize that it's hard to keep track of it all. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. We can wrap it up. I go first because I picked it. Is that how we do this?
That's how we usually do it.
Yeah, this movie is so useful and actually impressive in its message. The point of the film makes all the sense in the world, and it's something that a lot of people should probably relate to more than ever today if you're living in the United States of America. I mean, it was very, very accurate then, and now it's even more accurate that everything's been sacrificed or compromised, and there's been no real organizational structure that can push back. Particularly focusing on specifics too, with the bottling up of bills in committee. Like, he gets that detailed early on in the film by talking about that. That's exactly what happens. We're going to give you tons of money. You're going to slow this thing down. It's never going to gain any traction. This insurance bill is supposed to help a lot of people. And then you got classic, it's not like straight up racism, right? Because it's like that. It's not dog whistle either. There's Paul Sorvino's character early on in that meeting with Warren Beatty's character says, I respect Michael Jordan and all these people that have jobs, he says, which is like, oh my God, this is the exact face. Because he says, I like African Americans.
Right.
But then he starts talking about the crack addled or AIDS riddled, all these other things where you're really like, yep, this is what racism is in modern America today. It's not directly like that. They try to put on a good front, but all of the actions are counterintuitive to protecting or preserving any of the opportunities and rights for minority groups. That's just, that to me, that rings so true. And all the messages in here with the serious moments are very, very valuable quality points that I'm like, hell yeah, shit, this is even more now in 2023. I agree with this, and we need to get the word out more. And socialism being the dirty word, socialism, the way he does it in his stupid rap, that's so spot on, sadly, 25 years later. But as a execution of the film, it's kind of all over the place for me, and it makes it difficult to absorb the message. I think unless you're someone, I'm not anything special. I'm kind of your typical Joe, I guess, but I definitely lean a lot more into what's fair and right for all the people. So I guess that would put me in a lefty area over there. I know that, but for people who are just kind of like not paying attention and working their ass off every day and try to take care of their families or whatever it is where they're not paying attention, if you put this movie on, you're like, what the fuck? What is all this? Like, a lot of it might be really lost on people. So
absolutely.
This is so hard, guys. This is harder than last week's. And I thought last week's was tough. I'm going to say that this movie holds up because of the message. I don't like the execution at all. And I think there could have been a lot of things that could have been changed about the Bulworth character and how he goes about his business and how he connects with the black community. That could be different. But having said that, it's just a really, really useful and inspiring and current message that still stands in this world right now that we do need. So in that respect, I think people should see it and take a look at it for more than what you see on the surface and a lot of the errors and mistakes, and look at what's really the bottom line agenda is with this film. They're trying to help us in a way. He was trying to do something right here, and I say it holds up.
Eric, you want to? You've already said.
Sure. Yeah, I think this movie's fucking fantastic. I'm glad that it exists, man. Like, it's dumb and goofy, but I mean, it's entertaining. Like I wasn't bored for a second. I thought the movie was really fun. It moves along at this really brisk pace and like an erratic pace. And it's got a shitload to say. Like it says it in such a bizarre way that I applaud it for that alone. I mean, clearly it's a fantasy because like this radically progressive senator like wins in a landslide. That's not happening. We saw somebody who was completely radical and promoted socialism, and he definitely did not win in a landslide with Bernie Sanders. But someone like this who's fictionalized, you can have them come out and say this stuff and have people support them and get a reaction out of it. The stuff he's saying, Mike, you're right, is in Travis is super important. That we middle class white dudes have so much more in common with marginalized people than with these rich motherfuckers.
Yes.
And their kingdoms. I mean, we say that now emphatically. No one's saying that in 1998. They're sucking Bill Clinton's dick completely and totally. So I think this is a completely brazen, clever, silly, dumb, goofy farce that's not appreciated enough, in my opinion. Soundtrack's fucking awesome. All these songs are really fun to listen to. Like you're not laughing at Bulworth like trying to fucking work the hydraulics on that car. It's fucking funny, dude. It's dumb, but it's fucking funny. I think the movie's important, overlooked, and I'm glad you brought it. I'm glad I got to see it.
All right. I think you guys make some really great points, and I agree with many of them, most of them. Mike, in particular, I thought that your breakdown was almost exactly how I feel. That this movie has you guys basically said the same thing, and I'll keep this kind of short, but the political points made throughout this film are just so spot on and needed in 98 and in 2023 and 2050. I'm sure, hopefully not, but I don't think we're going to be there yet. So I do enjoy so much about that and agree with so much about that and think that these are important messages. That said, like I've listened to many bands in my life that have political messages, and the music has to be good. I can't sit there and bob along to Boy Sets Fire or Bad Religion or some band like that who has this political message that I agree with, and then I try and put on something else, that maybe has some similar stuff, and it's like, okay, I just can't connect with this. I have to like what's being packaged in, and for me, this, I think I'm smart enough to get the joke that we're supposed to be laughing at him, like Warren Beatty's leaning into the absurdity of what he's doing, and that's the bit, that's the comedy. But I did not find a lot of it to be very funny or entertaining, mostly just awkward and kind of cringy and not in a particularly enjoyable way. And compounded that with the fucking Oscar nomination made me think more about the actual plot and the actual script. And as I mentioned, the fucking assassin following him around all night, never killing him, never really trying that hard to take him someplace other than her fucking home. I think that there's a lot of big misses in terms of, and that ending sucks. I mean, I was like the movie ended, I'm like, well, that was lame. And, that end, like not him being shot, I was okay with that, but that bookend that we already mentioned, there's too many misfires in this movie for me. I agree with a lot of it, and I do think it's better than I remember, and it's better than most people probably realize, so it's worth catching, but I can't say it holds up as a good movie for me.
No argument here, man. I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Good, great point.
All right.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, there you go. That's Bulworth. I was young when I saw this movie, and I just thought it was stupid. But now that I understand things a lot more, and at the age of 42, I saw a lot more to it, at least. So there's definitely, if you're our age or around our age at all, and you saw it, and you're like, that was the dumbest shit I ever saw, take another look at it. Give it a shot.
Yeah, it's worth it.
It's worth it. All right, Travis, next week, you're on the clock. What's cooking?
Okay, so I have had this movie in my head for years now to bring on the show, and I always just told myself, it's too obscure. And then we did Trainspotting and Sin City like back to back, and I'm like, well, we can finally do it. And Bulworth, Academy Award nominated film, that's a big movie too. So I'm going to dig deep on this film. If you want to watch it, there's a 4K version on YouTube. That's the only place you can watch it right now.
Holy shit.
I'm going to say a few words here, and maybe you know what I'm talking about. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys seen this movie a million times, if you've never heard of it before. We're talking Corey Haim, 1990, joining a dystopian rollerblade gang. We're going to watch Prayer of the Roller Boys from 1990.
Never heard of it.
Yep. All you need to know is Corey Haim, dystopian rollerblade gang. That's all you need to know.
This is available to watch?
It's on YouTube. There's a good 4K remastered version on there. Yes, it's available to watch. I double checked and made sure. It's not streaming anywhere else. You guys ever heard of it?
No, no.
Never heard of it. Next.
It's a real movie?
Yeah, man, it's a real fucking movie. I've seen it many times.
It's a real movie. I believe it.
I don't know that you're going to like it, but it's going to give us plenty to talk about. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Well, I look forward to watching this film. I love Corey Haim. It could be
Corey
fun.
Haim in a three-timers club with this podcast.
Keeps coming back.
Oh, wait.
Prayer
Three
of the
timers?
Roller Boys.
Three
Yeah.
times? Holy shit. 3 times. That's amazing. Okay, that's cool. Well, there it is. That's the latest edition of our show called the Cinema Nine Podcast. It's a lot of fun. And I'm glad you guys joined us. Travis Roy, Eric Brancham, Michael Govier. Of course, Fawn was in the mix too, so hopefully you guys enjoyed her background. Oh,
Destroyed the room, but didn't fuck up the show.
Good job, Fawn.
Hey, that's a win. gmail.com. Travis, Eric, Michael. Bye-bye.
Is that how white people rap?
What's that?